Welcome to Take It... Jesus Christ. David, I just can't even do it without Roth going, oh, welcome to Take It or Break It, the Sports Takes talk show of your dreams, your nightmares. I'm your host, Corbin Smith. With me today is an editor and a writer at Deadspin and the co-host of the Deadcast. And any other credits? Any other credits I should lay down?
I do the Hallmark movie podcast.
Oh, of course. And the co-host of David and Jeb Aren't Mean.
Yep.
Over on patreon.com /TOB pod. It is David Roth. David, how are you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you doing?
I'm good. Going to Montana in a few minutes. I already talked to you about that, though. Yeah,
I'm not going to act surprised. Well, why are you going to Montana?
Yeah.
I already know that shit.
Yeah, we don't need to get too deeply into that. You know, sitting here watching this free agency, watching my beloved Portland Trailblazers stab themselves in the thigh.
You don't like that they lost Ed Davis?
That is, David, I hear the condescension in your voice.
No, it's not. I know you love Ed Davis. He was your dunk of the week at least once.
It isn't just it's that everybody's mad about it. It's that Damian Lillard was literally like publicly mad online about it. And Ed Davis was in line to make like $4 million. Like there was just no reason not to keep it.
I believe he did.
Yeah.
Why would they sign? And they signed Seth Curry?
Yes, and then they signed Seth Curry after not making offers to Pat Connaughton and Shabazz Napier. Connaughton in particular is irritating because he was actually kind of good. And now Seth Curry's on the team.
I didn't realize that they were I guess it makes sense since Connaughton was a second round pick and stuff. I didn't realize they were in a position to renounce either of those guys.
Yes.
I don't think Curry's that bad, but I'm not exactly sure how I see that as a need for them.
No.
Given the one thing that they have are players that do the things that he does significantly better.
They also signed Stauskas for the minimum, which it's hard to get mad about the minimum.
Yeah.
But also Stauskas is like not an NBA player. So it's just been an annoying day. It's been an annoying day with the Portland Trailblazers.
It's all very abstract to me because I don't have a team that I care about.
Yeah.
But I did have briefly, I think for about 24 hours, not even that long, when it became clear that the Lakers were surrounding LeBron with like the literal Suicide Squad of Suicide Squad
yes.
fame, that I had this hope in my heart that Dwight Howard would somehow be added to that mix.
I know. And
that they would just get all the supervillains. But it looks like between when I told you I was ready to come on and when we actually started, I think Dwight signed with the Wiz.
Yeah, yes. Dwight Howard is a wizard now because that's like the best idea, you know, to bring Dwight Howard into a locker room full of dudes who hate each other.
Yep. He's the one. Well, I think in some ways, if you really want to get advanced with your reasoning on it, that he could become the focal point and become the thing that everybody agrees on.
Yes, of course. He could be, he uniting the Democratic Party like Donald Trump, so to speak.
Yeah. And then the Wizards would march to victory, much like the Democrats did.
Yeah, yes. Can't wait.
Mm-hmm.
I have my theory about LeBron's insane Lakers team is that he's just trying to get every dude he's ever hated on the team so they all just murder each other.
Yeah. I mean, it is otherwise completely inexplicable to me. I understand it's
fucking baffling.
It's 1 year deal, like as Tom pointed out on the Deadcast that has not been released yet, actually. Yeah, that's right. Exclusive. Whatever. They'll go up around the same time as this, I think. But that he thinks that they're working on this, understanding that they have a 2 or 3 year window and they're not trying to jam it all into this one off season. It still doesn't explain giving Rondo $9 million or Lance $4 million. Yeah, because I don't think anyone else was going to do that.
Yeah, it is so baffling. Another little piece of me kind of thinks that maybe LeBron is a little like, I'm good now.
Yeah, well, that's certainly that's where I think the consensus at Deadspin is at this point, that he just wants to like go like play hacky sack on the beach.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Like, he's not trying to like win any titles, or I mean, maybe he is eventually or something like that, but like that team is not set up better to contend certainly than the Cavs are, I don't think.
No. Oh no.
And whatever, but he likes Los Angeles, and it's I guess where his family lives most of the time. And
yes, this is the case.
Yeah, like we've talked about this. Like I think it's kind of silly that everybody doesn't live in Los Angeles.
Yeah, it's a nice place.
Yep.
The smog, it's a little hot in the summers, and the smog can be irritating. Other than that, it's lovely.
Yeah, I've also, I mean, the caveat that I haven't been, since I was in college, I have never been stressed out in Los Angeles. I've never had anything I really needed to do.
Uh-huh.
And so, you know, like the first time that I have to like do a morning commute in the rain on like a Wednesday, like I would obviously be able to see the other side of it. But for me, it's like, it's all fucking tacos and
yeah,
but
yeah. And also you're a goddamn writer. When's the last time you went on a fucking commute?
I do it. I had to, you know, you have to go in to do the Deadcast and stuff like that. Sometimes I have to be places. I don't know.
What is that? What is that? Like, what is that? Like 10 stops, 10 subway stops?
I mean, let's see. If you're taking the express to the local, it's 5.
Yeah, come on.
But you still have to. Well, whatever. What I'm saying, the trains are. I don't want to get off on a rant here, Corbin. The subways are bad. Whatever. It's different. It's different
yeah. Sorry, I forgot the subways are bad now.
But it's different than having to drive. I get that. I mean, I'm sure that there's people I know that live in Los Angeles that don't like it, and I respect that perspective so much. But
I've heard it's different than New York.
It is. It's a lot different. I actually have. Do you mind if I do? I have 5 minutes on this. It's pretty tight.
Yeah, sure. Do you mind if I take a shit while you do this? Or?
You mind if I take this shit? Yeah, go ahead, dude. It's all right.
Yeah. All right.
No, it's okay.
All right, joke's over. This week I'm having David on, not only because I'm going to Montana and recording a podcast is going to be a prohibitive pain in the ass, but because I decided that there would be nobody funnier to have on a podcast where I talk about Uncle Drew than known snob sports writer David Roth.
You originally invited John Barry on to talk about it.
Okay. The second funniest person. I think John Barry would just be like, I loved it. Yeah,
he would like it. Great for the whole family.
Which
in that way that he says things where he knows that that he doesn't mean it.
Yeah. And he sort of is like wafting off a little bit of psychopathy that you don't quite trust.
Yep. Corbin, your dislike for John Barry is a matter of public record.
It is quite literally a matter of public record. I have written.
What is weird is that I thought you and I were friends, and yet you wanted me to go see this movie.
Well, yeah, I said what happened was I got on Twitter and I said, "Hey, David, come on my podcast, talk about Uncle Drew," and he was like, "I'm not seeing that shit." And then he sent me a message and he said, "Deadspin made me go."
Yep. So bonus content. This is for everybody. I talked about it on the Deadcast today too. I am going to get every fucking ounce out of those $15.79 and whatever
an hour and a half you spent in that theater. David, let's start off. Who was in your theater?
Great question, Corbin. A few people. There were some people on dates, which I thought was nice.
Incredibly weird. Incredibly weird, though.
That were just kind of like, you want to go see a movie? Okay, what's the shortest one? Okay, does it have Shaq's tremendous nude ass in it? And then they realized that this was it. But then, so some inexplicable dates, some families, like a couple of other older dudes seeing it by themselves, like me. I don't know. I didn't ask them. They didn't.
It's hard not to imagine they weren't also writing think pieces, but.
I guess. I mean, it was really weird for me I had been at that theater the previous day too. I'd seen a movie with my wife and her friend. And so just going back to the same place, it wasn't the same cashier, but it was like really hard for me not to be like, one for Uncle Drew, please. It's for work. And it wasn't like I'd seen fucking Wild Strawberries the day before either or anything like that. It was just like, it's a crappy AMC theater, but there's something weird about buying a ticket for what's basically a children's movie and then just going in alone and taking notes.
So I went in to my suburban movie theater. I rode there. I was in a bit of a hurry, and I tied up my bike. I went in. I think I was wearing basketball shorts, if I recall. Because
checks out, yeah.
Yeah, because I do a lot, and I walk in, and there's a line. And I'm like, I need to get in the theater because what if the movie starts without me? That's right. There was a period in my life where I was worried that I had been too late to Uncle Drew. and then I said one for Uncle Drew, and they told me the amount of money it cost, and I thought, no, that's too much.
How much was it?
It was, well, I saw a matinee. I saw it at 11 in the morning. That's the other thing.
So fucking good. Good for you, man.
Is that I saw it at 11:15 in the morning because I was like, I just got to get this out of the way. I think I've got a podcast or something to do tonight. And I said, yep, Uncle Drew. And they said, it was, I think it was around $12 if I recall correctly.
It's good.
And then they said, Theater 5. And I thought, look, I've been to this multiplex a lot, so I'm familiar with like what the theater numbers are. And I was like, Theater 5, that's a pretty big screen for fucking Uncle Drew. And then I walked in, and there was nobody there.
Hell yeah.
So I sat down.
What was the final head count outside of you?
Well, I sat down. So I sat down in the front, and I was happy because that meant I got to take my shoes off, and also use my phone during the movie because I wanted to take notes. And so I took my shoes off and chilled out, whipped out the old phone, and then a pair of old people came in. An older couple came in. They sat in the back of the theater. They seemed to pretty much enjoy the movie. I found
you reluctantly put your shoes back on out of respect for all their years on the... all right, cool. That checks out.
They were way across the theater. What was I supposed to do?
No matter, there's no room big enough for a stranger to be in it while you have your shoes off.
Blah, blah, blah. Oh my
God. All right,
this
whatever.
is such
whatever.
East Coast horse shit.
Yeah.
Garbage. Oh no!
If you see a movie in the morning with your phone out and your terrible hairy feet up.
My feet
I assume your feet are disgustingly hairy. Is that fair?
They aren't. They are not even particularly hairy.
Okay.
Sir. And
are they hooves? Do you have hooves?
No, I don't have hooves. You know, I do have some cracking on the back of my thing. I have some moisturization.
Whom among us?
Yeah, I have some moisturization problems. Also, I have a huge wart on the back of my ankle, and I just pick at it day or night, and now it's just a wart with a giant scab on it.
Well, that sounds nice.
Anyway, speaking of warts with giant scabs on them, Uncle Drew.
Yes.
Oh, got him.
Effortless. I will say one thing about the crowd at the theater that I was at was that it was more diverse than the crowd that was at the Ocean's 8 screening that I'd seen the previous day. Which I thought was, nice. This is like, whatever, it's New York City, so it's going to be more diverse than your suburban theater. But most of the movies that I've seen there, it's like white people watching white people, and that was not this case.
Oh, yeah, that's nice. How was Ocean's 8?
Totally fine. I'm a soft touch for the heist movie genre.
Yeah.
It's my wife's favorite of them. So it was perfectly fine. I mean, it's not like the sort of thing where I'm like, it wasn't as good as 11, better than 12. All those movies basically blend together to me, and they're all perfectly adequate. It wasn't necessarily, there was no missing Soderberghian touch. It was just kind of famous people being wry around each other.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So, Danny Ocean is dead.
Or is he?
Oh, is it an or is he?
Yeah, I think it's kind of an or is he thing.
Okay. I was just curious. I just feel like you gotta bring the Ocean's 11 and Ocean's 8 crews together for one massive job,
Yeah, honestly, I would watch that sort of thing, more or less indefinitely. Wouldn't necessarily, we had some coupon deal where it was a free movie ticket, so we saw it. I don't know that I'd necessarily lay out cash money to go see it in a theater, but I'd sure watch it in some other, if I'm on a plane, for instance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just as one example, I would watch the shit out of that.
Hey, I'm on a plane.
I'm on a plane over here. Hey. I thought that was going to be a Jordan Peterson voice for a second, but then it didn't go that way, and I'm happy that it didn't.
I don't like I don't like that the women are robbing a red carpet.
Man, I saw a video of him the other day talking about how women wear rouge so that they can look like ripe fruit, and he keeps saying fruit in his kind of exasperated Kermie voice, where he's they look like ripe fruits ready for picking. It's can you think of any other reason? Also, women eat fruit too. So should I be also wearing rouge?
Can I say something?
Yes.
I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
There was a Jezebel article from a long, long time ago about tinted moisturizer and about how men should use tinted moisturizer. And they took Deadspin writers and they gave them tinted moisturizer and we're like, look at how nice they look with tinted moisturizer. Why don't they just use it? So I don't know.
Maybe we should.
Yeah.
I'm willing to. I don't have any special any pride or anything holding me back when it comes to that sort of thing. I just sort of, I haven't found the tinted moisturizer that's right for me.
That works for you.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so we both saw Uncle Drew. You had to do it for work. I did it because I host a podcast.
Yeah.
And I'm just always looking for dumb shit to talk about. David Roth.
Yeah.
Author. Bon vivant.
Raconteur.
Raconteur. How did you like Uncle Drew the movie?
Not really, but
okay.
I didn't think it was as bad. It wasn't it certainly wasn't bad enough to be interesting to write about, really. Like I had this idea that it was going to be a train wreck and it was just like a kids movie basically. But it was, and this is the standard for me is like it's miles ahead of Space Jam for me. Like it's just not, if only because of the fact that like there's, and we discussed this a little bit yesterday night, that there's this sense of commitment to it, which is like wholly absent.
Yes,
from Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan's absolutely hideous performance in Space Jam.
Yeah, because he's like so over it, and like the only thing that Michael Jordan really cares about is like calling fucking Cliff Livingston on the phone and reminding him of the time he beat him at spades. Like he's just like just a bad guy,
laughing at somebody Oakley's beating up.
Right, yeah. Just like remembering a time when somebody that he considers a close friend like fell down and turned his ankle really bad. So in this case, like what I thought was funniest about the movie, and this is, I have a post that'll go up on this on Thursday after the holiday. It's an insanely committed performance by Kyrie Irving. Like I really feel like this is a fucking passion project.
Basically everybody who's a basketball player in this, except one person, really goes out of their way to like dive into the character they're playing.
Which is, again, to just for those who are joining us later in the broadcast, the movie we're talking about is Uncle Drew. There's no reason why anyone should be doing that.
So Uncle Drew, and also Uncle Drew, so this is Kyrie Irving who's playing Uncle Drew, and Uncle Drew is like this basketball sage who says things like, "Oh, it's about team play, and it's about, it's all about family, and your team is your family.
Playing the right way, yeah.
Playing the right way." And it's like, dude, you're fucking Kyrie Irving.
Yep. It is amazing too, because whatever you hear it actually is like kind of a reasonable parallel to the way that shit gets used in the actual basketball discourse, because it's said over and over again. It's never like the idea of what like playing the right way is never really explored. Like, I mean, it's not even the sort of thing where it's like being unselfish, like putting your teammates first. Any of the old cheesy verities that it could have been, like, they just pass that shit over. It's the thing you say. It's exactly as meaningful as like hand down, man down, which he also says in the movie.
Yeah.
It's just like, they're just like basketball sounds. Which it's weird because I didn't expect like a stirring or even coherent script, and in that regard, I was not disappointed. But again, like everybody involved is just bringing the most to it that they can.
Yeah,
which I respect. I mean, like this is not something that required that level of effort, and yet like it gets that level of effort.
It took me a hot minute to figure out that Weber was Weber.
Weber, I recognized. Nate Robinson, I did not recognize straight up until the closing credits.
Oh, really? I happen to know. I knew Nate Robinson was in the movie, and I didn't necessarily know Weber was in the movie. Nate Robinson's performance, there are parts of it that are actually kind of truly jarring.
Yeah, it's amazing. He is good.
Yeah.
Also, Weber is legit good. Like not great in the sense that like there's people that would have done it funnier or whatever, but
there's people who are professional actors.
Yeah, but for a guy who's like also going to be in the Basketball Hall of Fame if he's not there already, like he's a pretty good actor.
Yeah,
and he's sure having the time of his life. Like he does like this kind of like a cheesy kind of like preacher voice. I'm trying to think of who did a lot of that as like another performer that you could say like it's a version of like the thing that like Bernie Mac did better or whatever.
Yeah, that's Bernie Mac sounds kind of close to it.
Yeah,
a little bit. Bernie Mac probably.
Or really, Eddie Murphy probably, right? Like,
yes. Chris Webber, a poor man's Eddie Murphy,
which is fine because that's actually an accurate description. Whereas in no universe could Eddie Murphy be described as a poor man's Chris Webber.
No, of course not.
So,
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess I don't know what his forward play is like, but
I was going to say, like, I've not seen his back to the basket work.
Eddie Murphy creating out of the high post.
Yep.
Things of that nature. But
Eddie Murphy teaming with Brad Miller to provide the best pair of passing big men that anyone can remember.
There is a scene where Chris Webber baptizes a baby that goes on for a very long time.
Yep.
And then the main character walks in and says, "You shouldn't dunk a whole baby." And then the baby's parents are like, "Wait a minute, that guy makes a good point."
Yep.
Which is actually not a bad joke.
No, there's that whole scene is pretty funny. I mean, this is what's weird about the movie is that it's like, its conception. And I went back and read some stuff about like the deal making process before the film was made. And I can read you actually this because I still have it.
Go right ahead.
Here we go. Every day, we continue to extend the equity of our iconic Pepsi brand beyond the bottle. Today's consumers want to live the brand as much as consume it, and the tremendous success we've had with the Uncle Drew franchise.
I do love to live. I do love to live the brand.
I want to, and that's the thing is, I don't want to. I love to consume the brand too, but what I really want is for the brand to consume me.
Certainly, yeah.
Anyway, the tremendous success we've had with the Uncle Drew franchise is a perfect example of how we're building ecosystems around our flagship brands.
Oh my God.
So, I'm sorry to have said all that. I'm sorry you had to hear it. I'm sorry everybody listening had to hear it. But that's the mentality that created this movie, and therefore the fact that there's any laughs in it, any humanity, anything that can be called redeeming is borderline miraculous.
So So Nate Robinson.
Let's talk about it.
Plays an old street baller named Boots who has dementia that is at the very start depicted with a raw sensitivity that I was actually kind of unnerved by. Is that safe to say?
It's safe to say. He's basically catatonic when the plot of the movie is basically Blues Brothers. Uncle Drew gets the gang back together so they can go ball out at Rucker Park.
At the Rucker Park tournament. There is a main character as well. The main character is he got his shot blocked by Nick Kroll very long ago and quit playing basketball, but he continues to coach basketball, and he is convinced for some reason that Uncle Drew is his ticket to the title.
Yeah. This is after he loses out on what he previously thought was his ticket to the title.
Which Aaron Gordon.
Aaron Gordon.
Another person whose performance is significantly more committed than you would have assumed.
Yep. It is like, I mean, he looks like, when you see him, he's instantly identifiable as Aaron Gordon because he's like nobody, there's like 4 people alive that have like shoulders like that.
Yes, of course.
But at the same time, I was like, this is a professional actor. Like, this person is really big, but like doing a pretty good job.
Playing, it should be noted, a dickhead.
A total dick.
Yeah, like a prick. And Aaron Gordon was like, yeah, sure, whatever. I'll play an unvarnished prick. Honestly, Aaron Gordon, I kind of fucking admire your work in this. Because I think a lot of people would have been like, come on, I'm not, my character, who aren't professional actors would have been like, come on, I want people to like me. But Aaron Gordon was just like, nah, whatever.
Yeah, or they would have done it and they would have like cheesed it up like Dwight Howard style, like grown like a pencil mustache and been like, and like kind of like overplaying it. Whereas like Aaron Gordon kind of adds some subtle shadings of like entitled dickery to this role.
Dwight Howard watched this movie and was so fucking mad he wasn't in it.
Yeah, he's gonna do like his own like audition reel for a sequel.
Yeah,
like it's gonna like put it on YouTube or whatever, and it's gonna be him wearing like a powdered wig
for Uncle 2.
That's the Drewing, Uncle Drew legacy.
Yeah. Anyway,
so to go back to the Nate Robinson thing though, so they go to visit Bootsy in basically an assisted living facility.
Yeah.
Where he's confined to a wheelchair and he can't really talk anymore.
His granddaughter takes care of him.
Yep. And then, like, not to give anything away, the power of the game.
You know what? I'm just going to go ahead and say that we can spoil Uncle Drew.
I don't know, man. Some people are going to be really mad. Maybe they think that everybody loses and they all die.
Yep. That doesn't happen. But
anyway, so the game basically, brings him sort of back to life or whatever, which is obviously a difficult thing to play in a realistic way.
But very early on, there's a scene where the gang is there and Boots like sees Uncle Drew and he like gives him a hug, like a sort of half recognizing hug, and everybody and his granddaughter's like, he hasn't recognized anybody in years. And it's just like, ooh, no, I accidentally got moved by this movie.
Yeah,
what's going on?
I know, it's such a bad feeling. You feel like such a fucking rube. Because it's like, it's neat. It's beloved journeyman guard Nate Robinson wearing a Frederick Douglass wig. It's
old dude makeup.
Yeah, it's not a euphemism for anything. Like, that's literally the thing.
Hugging Kyrie Irving.
In worse makeup.
And weirdly worse makeup, it should be noted. While Reggie Miller stands there, we'll get to Reggie, but it's just like, I got tricked. I
know, it's a tough feeling.
Oh, I'm glad that old man is having a moment of happiness, even though it couldn't be more fake and possible. Son of a bitch.
I feel like Nate Robinson can kind of do anything. Like, if he wants to play 2 years in the NFL as a defensive back, I think I wouldn't rule it out. If he decides that he wants to become a character actor, like, I can't really rule that out either.
You know what? You say that, and I'm sitting here kind of imagining Nate Robinson as a character actor, and I'm like, I would be attracted to it. I would be like, this isn't like, like playing like a little muscular angry guy or something. That would be wonderful.
I think he did some studio stuff during the NCAA tournament, and he's good at that too.
Yeah,
but he's like, he's a good talker. Like, it's definitely like a difference.
Yeah. Anyway, anyway, and then they give him back a pair of Converses, and then he stands up again and is able to play basketball well, to the point that he can dunk. It's a very absurd movie.
Yeah, it's interesting that it's Converses too, because among the many brands.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad we finally get to talk about this part of the movie. Is
that Nike shit is everywhere, because that's the one that certainly that's Kyrie's thing. But are these like identified as? They're obviously like Chuck Taylor high tops and stuff, but you don't see the logo or nothing, do you?
I could swear I saw the logo.
Yeah, I sort of think I did too, which seems weird.
I'm gonna check something. Well, I've got some news for you about Converses.
Mm-hmm.
The Nike
owned by Nike.
Owned by Nike.
Fuck yeah! All right, cool. Love to live in this universe. Yeah, that's the good shit.
Yeah. The product placement in this movie is out of control.
Yeah, this is like, someone asked me about it yesterday. A coworker asked me about like what are the scenes where there's like a lot of product placement? And it's like, it's honestly just easier to identify the scenes where there's none.
Yeah, there is so much. Let's see, Slam magazine. Honestly, probably I'm going to assume Slam didn't pay for that, but
yeah. I mean, that's the thing, is that some of it is like, like plausibly diegetic, like the idea that but the first thing you see on screen is ESPN's logo for 30 for 30. And then the second,
which is a little weird because everybody in the movie works for Turner, but
yeah. That's actually true, isn't it?
Yeah.
Huh. So that's interesting that they would go that route. I guess it's just, a question of
in fairness, everybody who talks about basketball in the studio for ESPN is,
Yeah. We're one way or another, we are working for them ourselves right now. But the other, I think that because it's like literally produced by Pepsi. I mean, it is like the second credit you see is in association with Pepsi Productions or Pepsi Pictures or some shit.
Pepsi's logo is incredibly all over this movie.
Yeah.
There was a scene where they're at a convenience store and there could not have been more Pepsi ads behind the main character. Every inch of the screen was just flooded with Pepsi ads.
Which again is like, this is the direction I went in with my post, that like there's two ways to view this, right? That you could say that this is like the movie this is the movie at the end of the world, that it is just a long commercial that exists strictly to show you these logos as many times as possible. But I think it also, like, it doesn't completely ennoble that, because it is entirely that, and that's a gross thing to try to be. But also, like, there's some weird pulse in it because of how strange it backs into being. Yeah,
that's the thing, is that it is an advertisement for Pepsi, but it is so weird that it almost sort of wiggles out of being an advertisement for Pepsi.
Yeah.
Just because it's so bizarre.
But it's weird that Pepsi even wanted to, it's not like you see Uncle Drew like drinking a Sprite and then he's able to dunk or some shit, right?
No.
Like, it's the sort of thing where this comes from that way that they want to like just sort of associate themselves with a certain type of famous person.
Yeah, with a cool older basketball player.
Yeah, but it's unclear what they're getting from it beyond the fact that, like, you and I have already said the fucking P word 60 times in the last minutes.
Penis. We said
penis. Pointless.
Yeah, just a lot of it's weird. I don't have much more to say about it, and so we're just going to move straight to the fact that Reggie goddamn Miller is in this movie. Now,
yep, and you liked it.
Well, look, everyone in the movie, as we've stated, turns in a pretty committed performance. Nate Robinson shakes you to your core. Kyrie Irving goes, oh, whoa, 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 whoa.
Yeah. He really does, though. Man's out. There's no lies detected. Corbin is 100%.
Chris Webber is unnervingly committed.
Yep.
Lisa Leslie also fairly unnervingly committed. Shaq.
Yep. Let's talk about Shaq for a minute.
Can we get to Shaq? Can we do Reggie first? I think we have a difference of opinion about Shaq's performance in this movie. Reggie could not try less.
Yep.
It is incredible. He doesn't put on a voice. He plays a blind guy who at one point drives a car. Once again, it's a very goofy movie, and it's incredible. It's just like, oh yeah, that's Reggie Miller in old dude makeup. At one point, he's dressed like old Kareem, which I thought was a little weird.
Yeah, with the short suit thing that he was wearing.
Yeah, and the hat.
Yeah, that was initially who I thought it was when they went to go, when he's introduced, because he's styled to look like
all right, Kareem. David, you didn't think Kareem Abdul-Jabbar
I didn't think Kareem was in
Uncle
it, but
Drew.
it looked like Kareem. I didn't know that fucking Nate Robinson was in it either. I tried to go in there fresh.
Oh yeah, sorry. Good point. Everybody, man, shout out to every basketball legend who managed to not be in this movie, by the way.
Yeah, it can't have been easy.
Barkley in particular, that must have been a monumental effort on his end to not be one of the talking heads guys.
Yeah.
At the beginning
That's
of this
honestly
movie.
A relief, too, because it's like, if they do decide to pop out a bunch of sequels to this Ocean style, like, it's going to have more of those guys in it. And we're going to have to like pretend to be delighted when Charles Barkley shows up playing like Otis. And I will not be delighted when Charles Barkley shows up playing Otis.
No, because if you think Reggie Miller isn't committed to his role.
Yeah. Like Barkley's going to have like the Adam Sandler thing where he's like, my character needs to be sitting down at all times. Like just the most checked out bullshit that you could imagine.
Kareem managed to not be in this movie. Really impressive. Michael Jordan, God bless him for staying out of this. Oakley, you got to imagine they asked Oakley, and he just punched them in the face.
Yeah, it's weird because it is like it's not a sprawling cast of basketball cameos.
No, it's not. Nick Kroll is in this movie significantly more than a lot of tertiary basketball men. Yeah.
And again, like all the funny people that they actually cast in this movie, that it seemed like they were allowed to improvise more or less the entire part.
Yeah. Nick Kroll in particular is pretty fabulous in this movie.
Kroll is funny. Tiffany Haddish is really funny. And Lil Rel Howery, who plays the lead, to the extent that he doesn't have to just like sort of say lines and act sad about weird things that shouldn't really be happening, like, is also funny.
Yeah, I very rarely bought him as a dramatic lead, and they put him into those situations a little too much. But he is fairly funny.
They put everybody into dramatic situations too much. There's very few people in this movie.
Except weirdly, Nate Robinson, who manages to pull it off.
Who brings it with him, adds gravitas to scenes that don't deserve it. Whereas the rest of it, I mean, this is the part of it that I am most fascinated by, is that there's all these scenes where they ask the non-actors to do like a lot of acting, and like not just in the sense of like Chris Webber getting up there and doing shtick and like showing you that he can do a preacher voice. I mean, like Shaq and Kyrie having an emotional scene together over the graveyard woman that they both loved. It's just unbelievable.
How did you, Roth? Why did you hate Reggie so much in this movie?
I didn't hate Reggie that much in this movie. I just don't like Reggie.
Oh, okay. All right. Why do you hate Reggie? Why does everybody hate Reggie?
You know the answer to this question, man.
Oh, because he's not great on TV. But look. I watch Reggie Miller games. I watch Mark Jackson games, okay? In the Reggie Miller games, is Reggie frequently wrong about things? Yes, absolutely. But Reggie has a good spirit, and he's relatively fun to be around for 2.5 hours. When you listen,
if that's the metric that we're going to use, then I guess we're in agreement.
Yeah.
But I just feel like we have to aim higher. Like America as a country needs to ask more than Mark Jackson.
Yeah, but when you watch Jackson and Van Gundy, you feel like you're in prison with them.
Yeah, it
sucks.
At
the very least, with Reggie Miller, you do not feel like you are in prison with Reggie Miller.
You feel like you're sitting in the stands and there's a guy behind you who won't shut up and he's got like a ton of peanut butter in his mouth.
Yeah, but he's like an all right dude.
You know, I'm not really sure that I can fully agree with that, but I will say this, that like you have no idea how much it pains me to say this. He's a significantly better color commentator than either Van Gundy or Jackson, and than some other people that do NBA games.
Yes. Yes.
And I don't like his shit at all. I feel like, have I been clear enough about that?
Yeah.
All right. But it's still, again, like if the alternative is John Barry, if the alternative is like just any of these John like Barry. Fucking sourpuss, like backward looking guys.
That's the thing, is that Reggie isn't a prick. He is at the very least enjoying the game.
He's a troll, but he's not a prick.
Yes. He's a bit of a troll, but he is somebody who's having fun out there.
Yeah.
That's
he
all.
Seems like he had some fun in this movie too, but it's weird that like this is just everybody decided what they wanted to do in this film, right? And so some guys really just wanted to go out there and, you know, show that they could act or sing.
Nate Robinson, for some reason, wanted to break hearts.
Yeah, Nate Robinson wanted to go out there and be like, just remind people that like once Morgan Freeman is too old or too creepy to be playing these roles, that he could step in with ease. But yeah, like Reggie was just decided that his thing was that he would consent to wear a gray goatee and a hat.
Very goofy gray goatee.
And that was it.
Very goofy gray goatee.
Yeah.
And he would speak using Reggie Miller's voice. And also at one point, they give him goggles and they have prescription lenses in him. And he's like, oh, I can see now. It's just like, wow, we didn't try giving him glasses? Jesus Christ.
It's just... Well, there's some holes. There's some holes in the script.
Yeah, look, don't get me wrong.
I think we should be honest about that.
Yeah, look, it's not it's, you know, I can't think of a holeless movie. It's not The Third Man in that regard, but
yes.
It's not even Seven Brides for Seven Brothers in that regard, but
it doesn't. Anyway, so
it's not about that. It's about refracting good spirit out, and that's what I think Reggie Miller brings. He has a fairly good spirit.
You want to talk about what type of energy you think he has? Do you want to talk about that a little bit? You want to say it?
You know what I think it is? I think it's like green.
Okay.
I think it's green energy.
Corbin can see auras.
Yeah. Also, I think Reggie Miller likes to smoke weed.
Is that why you think it's green?
Well, no, that's the second reason I think it's green. But
who in this cast do you think likes to smoke weed the most?
Shaq, 100%.
I think it's Kyrie Irving.
Oh yeah, Kyrie is definitely honestly, literally everybody in the front six are. I'm pretty sure Reggie likes weed. He does have a navel tattoo. Chris Webber certainly likes weed. Shaquille O'Neal, 100%.
Yeah.
Kyrie, yes. And Nate Robinson, I would be stunned.
Yeah. Although Nate could also be like total clean living vegan.
Yeah, that could be the case. Yeah.
But hard to know.
He could only like weed juice.
Yeah. If Nate is actually into juicing and doesn't get high, I respect that too.
Yeah. That's the other version of being a guy who smokes too much weed, you know?
Yeah. Is being a guy that's always like on cleanses.
Yeah. Yeah. Equally respectable. Good art out of both of those kinds of guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The potential too for the worst type of conversation.
Certainly. Which Reggie Miller.
Yep. You think that Reggie Miller's a snob about weed?
No.
Okay.
No, I think he smokes what's handed to him. And look, another Reggie Miller thing. That Winning Time documentary is so good.
Yeah, it's good.
That's all.
I hated him as a player because he beat the Nets.
Yeah,
but he was a brilliant player. You know, like that's the type of guy. And
also, I think a guy who sitting in the place where we are now with 3-point shots that we can look back at and say that guy was probably an innovator.
Yeah, I wish that this is the way that I basically think about all the basketball I watched in my youth now. Not like I think of what we're seeing now as being like the peak of anything or the end of history or whatever the fuck. But I do wish that I could have seen how a more contemporary understanding of basketball would have allowed Reggie Miller to be somebody different. I mean, he still had a great career.
Yeah.
Chris Jackson, Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf is the one that I always think of the most. I think we've talked about this in the past.
Yeah. Yes, Chris Jackson is clearly a missed opportunity.
100% like a Steph Curry type player that had to just like fucking dump the ball into Antonio McDyess until he got blackballed out of the league, which is just a fucking waste.
Yeah. Okay. So we're to the last member of this cast that we need to discuss. Mm-hmm. The one I think that we will have the stiffest disagreement on, which is Shaquille O'Neal.
I didn't like it.
Okay.
Now,
go ahead.
But I will say that when he first came on the screen, my heart sank. If I could show you my notes, and I did the first thing I wrote after that scene is, "Man, Shaq sucks ass." But I think again, like he certainly tries more than I'm used to seeing him try, either in his television work where he's playing himself, talking about basketball, or certainly like the few minutes that I've seen of him in like Adam Sandler movies where he's just basically.
Oh yeah, I forgot he does that.
Yeah.
He tries the shit out of Kazam, I'll tell you that. But
yeah, well, he wanted to be like a big star.
Okay, this is how I feel about Shaquille O'Neal's performance in this movie. It's not great.
It's not.
There is a scene where Kyrie Irving hands him a trophy header, and he throws it down on the ground and stomps it. That felt pretty real to me.
Mm-hmm.
He does teach kids karate, which is a little weird, but also kind of like, yeah, it seems like something Shaq would do.
Yeah, it's definitely like something that like Shaq would come up with that idea.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And they'd be like, all right, sure, like we'll get you a gi. Like it's better than trying to like talk him into something else.
But I think, okay, this is what I think.
Please be honest.
Shaq is so bad on TV.
Yeah,
just heinous.
I think you can't say he's single-handedly tanked that show because Chuck is also about as checked out as you could possibly be.
Yeah. It's time for Barkley to do something else, probably.
But Shaq he tanks the show.
Yeah, because
he's awful.
Yes, because and like all he wants to do is like say, "Hey, Charles, you have a small dick."
Yeah,
which
he's a bully, but he doesn't even work hard at it.
Yeah,
like he just sucks.
He's the sleepy bully.
Yeah, the most terrifying kind.
Oh yeah. Seeing him in this movie, I felt like, at the very least, it made me feel bad that he probably feels like he has to do inside, because this is what I feel. I feel that Shaq could probably be like the 18th guy in a Fast and the Furious movie.
I guess he'd have to. I think he just hasn't worked that hard in many years. Like the stuff that it would require to do that.
That's fair. Then why is he doing Inside? That's the other thing about him doing Inside is that Shaq is absurdly rich.
Yeah.
Like even by pro NBA player standards, he just made an unbelievable amount of money during his career.
Yeah, played a super long time. He stuck around into the era of like extremely huge deals. He had endorsement shit wall to wall.
Yeah. And so he does Inside because he likes attention. Like there's no way that's not why he's doing it.
It's clear, yeah. Although it has the vibe of somebody who's there under duress, which makes it sort of hard to parse. Because he's not having fun, it doesn't seem like.
Oh, no.
And he's not, like, interested in the work in the way that, like, Kenny Smith, for instance, is, like... He's not, like, auditioning for a coaching job. I think just Kenny Smith likes basketball.
Yeah. Yeah, God bless Kenny Smith.
Yeah,
Kenny Smith
the only guy on that set that does.
Kenny Smith likes basketball so much that he was a pretty thoroughly mediocre NBA player who got a commentating job when he was retired. That's how much he liked basketball.
Yeah. I mean, he won a title watch it. But yes, you're right. I mean, that it was like the sort of... And of all the guys, there have been other like mediocre guys that have gotten that, you know, and stuff. But he's better than any of them. Like, I think he's just like more interested in like the P's and Q's of the game than like like Tim Legler or Bruce Bowen or like those other guys. Those are like take guys.
And Barkley is just like a genuinely charismatic dude who's fun to watch on TV.
Yeah.
Lately, it's maybe sometimes that second part has maybe not happened, but he is at the very least still fairly charismatic.
Yeah. I think that's something he did not have to work for. And then the rest of it is like, you know, when he tries harder, he's interesting. When he doesn't, he's not. Shaq, I don't think he really wants to be doing any more either.
Shaq just doesn't fucking want to do it. But in watching this movie, I was like, Shaq wants to be doing this.
Yeah. It is also weird, too, because, like, while I don't think he did a very good job, he's a charismatic performer in this, more so than he is on television. Yeah. And I think that's, like... And he was very charismatic when he was charismatic. He just seems like he's got this, like, weird, like, hostage energy now that, like... Yeah. Is the opposite of, you know, entertaining. Whereas, like, if you go back and look at the, you know, not like Blue Chips or whatever, but like the Shaq that like when he went to Los Angeles and all that stuff, like first of all, he was an amazing basketball player in a way that like I have to keep reminding myself how badass he was.
He's a fucking nightmare. Like he's just a nightmare manifest on court, ripping dudes in half.
Especially too, like he was still like decent. I mean, obviously like decent enough to win a title and stuff in Miami or whatever. Not fun to watch at that point. Like slower, heavier, more like ground bound. The Orlando and then the entirety of his Lakers run, he was like just a fucking monster.
Him on Orlando is terrifying.
Yeah, because he was fucking ripped as hell.
Yeah,
he was like bigger, like it's like Darth Vader in like Return of the Jedi or whatever, in Empire. Empire, where he's just like fucking 8 feet tall and everybody's like just whatever. He was a monster and he could run. So there'd be like him like leading the break. Like those videos don't look right. Like they look fucking retouched.
He was a human nightmare as a player, but he's just so lethargic now. But in this, at the very least, he isn't inherently lethargic.
Yeah.
And I was like, I wish that somebody would just like cast Shaq in an action movie. I suspect he might bring something to it. Oh no, not as a lead, of course.
I think that's like the thing that he'd need to. And obviously now it's like whatever, the guy's 50 years old, going on. No, I don't know. How old is he?
I think he's in his mid to late 40s.
Yeah, so that like he's not going to be like a leading man anymore. You know, which I assume is something that he knows. But if he likes acting, he should act.
Yeah.
You know, like not just because it would get him off inside the NBA either. Like that's a nice little knock-on benefit for all of us, but it's not like the main deal. Like, I mean, he can do it a little bit. I personally find him annoying, but I think if he's used right, he'd be less annoying acting in movies than he would be like having kind of weirdly serious seeming.
Yeah, being on ketamine on TV.
Yeah, just like staring straight ahead, ball-bearing eyes.
Yeah. So there's another thing that we have to mention regarding Shaq in this movie.
Yeah. His tremendous nude ass.
So this movie is ostensibly for children.
Yep.
But Nick Kroll's first line is literally like, "What's up, dick?"
Yeah. There's a lot of...
It's a little vulgar.
A lot of nut play.
Yeah.
A lot of like talk about balls type shit.
And also, you see Shaquille O'Neal's nude ass.
It's huge.
It's honestly, thought it was a pretty good ass, personally.
I was mostly so surprised to be seeing it at all that I didn't think to grade it. That's why you're the best, because you're thinking 2 plays ahead.
I wasn't necessarily surprised, because there's sort of a preemptive scene where so what happens is that before their last game, Shaq has a fucking heart attack.
It's a weird movie. It's a very weird,
very weird movie. Lisa Leslie ends up taking Lisa Leslie, who plays Chris Webber's wife, who's kind of I'm going to beat you with a rolling pin type.
Yeah.
Once again, really want to state, it's an incredibly strange movie.
Yep.
Is there a chase scene where
Yes.
she is chasing Uncle Drew's van around in a big black SUV?
Yep.
Yes, there is. Is Reggie Miller, who is playing a blind character, driving the van?
In reverse.
Yep, 100%. That is the case. But anyway, Shaq has a heart attack, and he has to go to the hospital. And then he's watching the tournament at the hospital. He walks up to it's actually kind of a funny scene. Everybody's sitting around watching TV in a waiting room, and he walks up and he just changes the channel. Nobody seems to object, which in fairness kind of makes sense. Seems like one guy wants to watch something specific. And he's sitting there watching, and he's like, you got to go to the paint. They cut to him saying, go to the paint or whatever the fuck. And what happens is there's a very brief shot from behind where I saw a little bit more of his leg than I expected through the slit in the dress that he was wearing. Didn't know.
Yeah,
and I was like, is Shaq wearing underpants under that? And so,
once you start asking that question, you got to ask it every time you see him.
Yeah, exactly. And so when Shaq raises his arms after they win, and you see Shaq's full, very long, very gigantic ass, I was like, okay, I'm not 100% shocked by this.
It was the biggest laugh in the theater of the whole movie.
Well, yeah, because you saw Shaq's ass.
Yeah. Yep. True. That's exactly why. I agree with you.
Do you feel more complete having seen Shaq's ass?
I didn't know that it was missing, but to answer your question, yes.
Yeah. I think I do too.
It definitely, it's close enough to the end of the movie too that it kind of it's sealed. I've been trying to sort of assess it, not all
Shaq's
the way
ass?
in real time. Well, I was just like, what kind of movie even fucking is this?
Yeah.
What am I doing? And then see Shaq's butt as a gag, and you're like, oh, right, it's been that type of movie the entire time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's a Shaq's butt movie, which I didn't know until I knew it.
Yeah. And then I think when it happens, it sort of gives you a wave of acceptance,
Yeah.
This is a movie where you see Shaq's ass, and it feels good,
I haven't seen enough of his stuff, the Sandler shit.
Say of his ass, but
no, I have not. I don't know how I could see enough of it, and I think I saw all of it. I don't know how. Is that maybe it's a thing? Maybe in all of the Sandler movies you see his butt too.
I don't. Not to my knowledge. I feel like I would know.
I would have to see the Grown Ups too.
Yeah, if I was able to see Shaq's ass all the time and I didn't know that, I'm going to be very upset. I have a podcast. I feel like people should know that it's the kind of thing I'd be interested in.
Yeah, everyone knows too that as everybody that does a podcast, this is it's kind of a cheap way to juice your stats. Is if people know that you're going to talk about Shaq's butt in it, they're more likely to listen all the way through.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I'm looking at my notes. There's one more thing I very briefly want to mention about Aaron Gordon's performance in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
In the final basketball game, what happens is that Aaron Gordon is coached by our main character, but then he goes over to Nick Kroll's team. Nick Kroll is sort of the ostensible villain of this movie. Nick Kroll is also very funny in this movie. It should be noted. To the point where it's hard not to be like, what the fuck is Nick Kroll in this movie?
Yeah.
But I also suspect that's a very coastal elite type perspective, and that most people aren't as familiar with Nick Kroll as I am. Anyway.
Yeah. But that just makes it weirder that Nick Kroll is in the movie, because they could have just cast like a famouser guy.
Yeah.
Like they really did. Like again, somebody was like, just get the funniest dude that's willing to play this part.
Yeah, and Nick Kroll was like, yeah, sure. Yeah, well, yeah. John Mulaney's comedy partner. Yeah, of course.
Sure. Famous, like, weird accent aficionado and, like, adjunct Comedy Central guy. Like, yeah, let's do it.
Of course. But anyway, so Aaron Gordon, I need to return to him very quickly. Really convincing prick in this movie who had absolutely no vanity about how he was depicting himself in a way that I kind of admire. There's two things I want to mention. One, he does an elbow dunk in the movie, and the way they shoot it looks pretty fucking cool.
Yeah. I mean, I wish the basketball stuff in the movie is not terrible. I wish it had been shot a little bit. There's a lot of like waist up stuff, which I think is kind of not the right way to shoot a basketball scene.
Yeah, but there's like this Aaron Gordon shot is like straight down.
Yeah.
And it's a handsome. By the way, the director, I don't know if you saw this, but the name of the director of photography for this movie?
Yeah, it's just one guy, right?
Yeah, his name is Crash.
Yeah.
Just Crash. That's all.
Crash.
He doesn't appear to have a Wikipedia article about him.
A lot of other credits for Crash?
You know what? We're going to scope out Crash IMDb. But also, Aaron Gordon gets his shot blocked by an old lady at the end of this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not signing Aaron Gordon to your team, knowing that he is a selfless team player,
yeah, he's willing to get packed by grandma.
He's willing to get his shit blocked in by an older woman, and you
can't do anything but respect it. Like credit where credit is due.
Oh my god. Okay, here are Crash's full credits on IMDb. He did cinematography for a 50 Cent video, Candy Shop.
Oh, I saw that one.
He did cinematography for a short on Real Time with Bill Maher.
Oh.
And he did the cinematography for Vanity Fair: Decades. I suspect, I'm just going to go ahead and say that maybe Crash does a lot of cinematography for commercials.
Yeah, seems like that would probably
just going to throw that. You know what? Another reason why I think that is?
The movie was produced by the advertising wing of a major multinational corporation.
And also, it looks like a commercial.
Yeah, it really does. There's not a whole lot of like art to it. It's not. Although I will say that like the basketball stuff, again, like even in the original Uncle Drew ads, like some of it is shot, in a way that's like entertaining.
Yeah.
Like the basic value proposition of the movie, which is basically like this old guy is surprisingly good at basketball, is like I have a fucking child's mind. Like I've never been shy about that. Like that's fine to me. Like I do not have any qualms about saying that I enjoy that. Watching it is funny to me. And so there's scenes there that deliver that, but
that first scene,
it really does
scene where Kyrie plays one-on-one with a guy in Uncle Drew makeup, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah. Like sticking threes in the face of like some buff guy on a playground. Like that's the only joke they've had for like 6 years with this shit. But like it's not the worst joke in the world.
It's actually it's a pretty catchy joke.
Yeah.
What if we gave Kyrie Irving old dude makeup? Do you think Kyrie is okay, last question. Do you think Kyrie is going to be in another movie?
I hope not. I mean, I think that's maybe something that he like. It seemed like he like took this seriously enough that maybe he does kind of want to be an actor. I kind of feel like Kyrie needs to get his shit together on a number of fronts, and I don't know that like appearing as a like sort of B grade like character dude or like as the lead in a bunch of like pokey cheesy movies is exactly right for him. Like I'm not like worried about him or anything. I just think he's like kind of a little bit of a troll and maybe a little bit of an idiot. Like the Flat Earth stuff's not really funny to me.
Have you heard that he and Durant might want to join the Knicks together?
Oh, yeah. I absolutely believe that will happen.
I need it.
We were joking today on the Deadcast about how incredibly corny Kevin Durant in New York would be.
Yeah.
Like him just like being outside the M&M store being like, I love the energy here.
In fairness, have you been outside the M&M store?
It is, the energy there is incredible.
It's a good energy.
Yeah, every time I'm in that neighborhood, I get my picture taken with two guys in slightly different Spider-Man costumes. I tip them each $10.
When I went to New York, I tried to be like, I'm not going to Times Square. But then I discovered that that's where all the plays are. And I was like, oh, weird.
Yeah. Oh, you see Broadway shows when you were here? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I saw. I saw an Edward Albee play John Lithgow was in.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I don't like Edward Albee. So that was disappointing. I also saw Iceman Cometh, but I saw that in Brooklyn, and that was the one Nathan Lane was in, and that shit was fucking awesome.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there was good word of mouth about that one.
Yeah.
My coworker Lauren saw the Denzel Washington one recently, and I don't think really did like it that much.
What play was it?
Iceman Cometh.
Iceman? Who'd he play?
Yeah. Hickey.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, Denzel.
Yeah, I think it was like one of those things where it starts with like somebody's like Denzel Washington is willing to play Hickey in a production of The Iceman Cometh, and then they just did it for that reason.
Nathan Lane played Hickey in mine. Ideal. So good.
I think I saw a version of it a long time ago where Kevin Spacey played Hickey. And I believe that Nathan Lane was in that as the bartender character, but I don't know if I could swear to it.
Well, I guess our audience is going to have to look that up on the internet.
Yeah, they will. They love this shit.
David, do you have any more NBA takes before we leave?
Not really. I don't know. Like I'm trying not to think too hard about the Warriors thing. I think I'd probably get upset. So
yeah, it's a little fun. How is it good or bad?
I think it's just lame.
Yeah, I kind of feel that.
Like I just think it's like kind of not fun. I'm not mad at like Boogie. It's not really in me to be mad at Boogie, but like the fact that there's not this like not an effective foil for them is just like it makes it hard to get excited about the rest of the sort of season.
Yeah, which
is unfortunate because it's summer league time. Yeah, and the NBA is good. It's the last really good sport.
Hey, I have nothing else to say to you this week, Roth.
Terrific.
I'm going to be done recording now.
That's great.
Hey, rate and review this podcast on iTunes. Check out our Patreon, www.patreon.com/tobpod. We might not have a premium episode this week, but we will make it up on next week because I'm going to Montana and I'm still not quite sure what I'm going to do about it, but we kind of have an idea. So sorry if there isn't a second premium episode this week. I'm going to make it up on the back end. Don't worry. Corbin's good for it, baby.
Believe in Corbin.
And
John.
I'm on the Daily Beast today. I wrote about
shit. Good for you, dude.
Yeah, I wrote about Cousins signing in the thing. So go read that and share it with your cousins, your friends, your family, your lovers. And hey, everybody have a wonderful day.
Bye.